Welcome to Tech Revolution. Welcome to Tech Revolution.
Okay. When you run the program, a window will pop up that is a main menu where you can redirect from a button to what functions you need to do. For example, like search and borrow button, we'll go to search and borrow book window, or the return book. If you click that, you will go to the return book window. And lastly, the add member, we will go to the add member information window. And there is always a transaction button where you can see all of the transaction log for every transaction that you made. In this transaction log, you will see a return to main menu, which will return to the main menu. First, if you return a book like this, it will go to the transaction log as the title and the ISBN returned. Similarly, when you borrow a book, let's say 1984 with George Orwell, and fiction. If you borrow it and assign it to, for example, me, I will put my member ID there and go back to the transaction log. It will display as the book information borrowed by the member, which is me. That's all. Thank you.
So now, we're going to explore the search and borrow functionality, which allows the users to find books and borrow them. Okay, as you can see, we're currently at the main menu. Let's click on the search and borrow button to begin. Here, we have the search and borrow panel. Users can search for books using various criteria such as title, author, ISBN, and genre. Let's say we're looking for a book titled Java Programming. I'll type that now into the book name field. And now we have typed it, and let's click the search button to find the book. As you can see, the search results are displayed in the text area below. It shows the genre, the ISBN, the title, the author of each matching book. Once the user finds the desired book, they can click on the borrow button to proceed with borrowing it. But let's first fill out the needed fields. Now, and let's click on the borrow button. And after now here, users needed to select a member to borrow a book. They can do this by entering the member's ID in the member ID field. No. 1. After entering the member ID, users can click on the assign book button to complete the borrowing process. And that's it. The book has been successfully borrowed by the selected member. Users can repeat this process to borrow more books or return to the main menu. Okay, then that's it. No, thank you for joining me in this walkthrough for the search and borrow book functionality. Thank you.
Gamal greetings, Sir Janus. I am Mark Justin Alzona and I am assigned to explain the functionality of this program code about a method called Return Book Panel. So generally, this block of code has a purpose of handling the action of the user when it comes to returning their books, which is a part of our library system. The first line of code has a method of declaring a static so it can be called without a need to create an instance of its containing class. Then it is a void, which means this method does not return any value. This method is a variable named return book panel. So the return book panel method defines the graphical user interface or GUI for returning a book in a library management system. It set up various components such as text field for entering book information like title, author, ISBN, and genre. Buttons for actions like returning the book and clearing fields. Label to indicate what each field is for, and a text area for displaying transaction logs. The method also includes the event listener or handling listener for buttons to handle actions like returning a book or clearing the fields. When the return button is clicked, it checks if the book information entered is valid. And it also updates the availability status of the book. Adds a transaction log entry. It also clears the input fields and updates the displayed book list. If the information entered is invalid, it prompts the user to try again. Additionally, and generally, there's a button to return to the main menu, which hides the current frame and initialize the main menu JPanel. So that's it.
When we say return book, it is just the opposite of borrowing a book. So now let's try. When you want to return a book, you start by selecting return book from the main menu, which is the second button. Let's try to press it. Once you press it, you will be taken to the panel where you can fill in details like the book's title, author's name, ISBN, and genre. So let's try to fill these blanks with information. Let's try this first example, which is catcher in the right. Let's just copy paste this in the blanks. Next is the author's name, which is J.D. Salinger. Next is the ISBN. And lastly, its genre, which is fiction. So once you've entered this information and click the return button, the system checks to see if the book matches in any of its records. So if it does, let's try, and it does. The book is marked as available again, and you'll get a confirmation message, which is this. This action is also logged in the system transaction log, so there is a record of it. If the details you've entered don't match with any books, you'll get an error message. Now let's try it. The next example is this, the book of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Let's just copy paste again. Let's put the author's name, which is J.K. Rowling. Next is the ISBN. And lastly, its genre, which is fantasy. So I will intentionally misspell it so that you'll get an error message like this. So the purpose of it is to help to keep track of the books in the library efficiently. So let's try to fix its spelling. And now the book is successfully returned. And that is the purpose of return book. And that's all. Thank you.
So, in this line of code, initialize a static integer variable named ID, which represents a unique identifier for each member. So, this ID is calculated as the size of the member ID list plus 1. So, here's how we do it. After you run our management system, just press the add member. And here, you can see our members information, and you can add your own name and content. That's all.
When the add button is clicked, it checks if all required fields are filled. If not, it shows a message asking to fill in all fields. If all fields are filled, when the add button is clicked, it checks if all required fields are filled. If not, it shows a message asking to fill in all fields. If all fields are filled, it adds the book using the provided information and clears the text field.
This code defines a method called addBookPanel, which set up a GUI for adding a book to create text fields. This code defines a method called addBookPanel, which set up a graphical user interface or GUI for adding a book. It creates text field for entering the book's title, author, ISBN, and genre, along with labels to identify each field. There's also a back button to return the previous panel and add button to add the book to the system.
This code creates a J button labeled Add Member named BTN Submit, which triggers an action listener upon clicking. The action listener checks if all required member information, name, ID, and contact is filled. If any field is empty, it prompts the user to enter all necessary information. Otherwise, it adds the member's details to respective list, clears the text fields, and updates the ID field to ensure each member has a unique identifier. So, here's how the code works. After you press the add member, you need to fill up with your name and contact. Here's the example. Then, if you didn't put any required information, a pop-up will show. That's all. Thank you.
Let's start from the search book. Let's dive into the code for the search and borrow functionally in our library. Management system will focus on the main class, which is the entry point of our program. First, we have the borrow book panel method, which is called when the user clicks on the search borrow book button. This method sets up the GUI for searching and borrowing books. Okay, so this is the code for the search book, and within this method, we define text field for entering book information such as the title, author, ISBN, and genre. User can enter their search criteria here. We also have button for search and borrowing books. When the user click on the search button, the search books method is called search book method. Engage through the list of book and check If each book match the search criteria entered by the user, matching book are displayed in the text area. Okay, so next we are about in borrow. Here, select member. Once the user finds the direct book, they can click on the borrow button. This triggers the select member method where you select member to borrow the book. In the select member method, users enter the ID of the members they want to borrow the book. The method then display a list of members, and user can select the appropriate member. After selecting the member, users can click on the assign book button to complete the borrowing process. This update the availability status for the book and logs the transaction. And that's how the search and borrow functionally works. In our library management system, users can easily search for books, select a member, and borrow books with just a few clicks.
Techno Revolution.